Greetings from the Idiot Box. I'm Allison. Today, Stacy joins us. Stacy Anastasia is an improviser with Comedy Sports, a grown-up theater kid, and this is her first podcast. Hi,
Hi,
Stacy.
everybody. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Thank you for coming on. So we are discussing Just Shoot Me today, which aired on NBC from, hold on,
97, I think.
yes, March 4th, 1997 to August 16th, 2003.
On
And
Monday nights.
yes. Oh, I also have that
I
it was
think they
also
moved. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
no, they did move it. It never really had a permanent spot on NBC's lineup. It was one of those things where the ratings weren't what they could have been. I think the most regular time slot it had was Tuesday. I know it was
Mm.
between Friends and Seinfeld at some point. That
They should have kept that.
I think it was like against Frasier. NBC was trying to do with something with like
Yeah.
must see TV, and then they had must see TV Tuesdays at one point, and there was a period of time where they just had an embarrassment of riches when it comes to sitcoms in the 90s.
Well, the 90s were a wild time.
Yes, they were.
And and I think Just Shoot Me is a show that kind of displays some of that in
I
in
think Nina
various
in
ways.
particular.
Oh my goodness. So
Yes.
my favorite thing about Nina is how she just owns her past. She's like,
Yes,
I was
Wendy
a party
Malick.
girl, beyond talented.
Yes.
Um, she just owns it. She's like, 60s and 70s were wild, and somehow I made it through the 80s, and here we are. And um, her constant, my friend Binny says,
Yes. Which no one thought
hilarious.
Benny was a real person until Benny died.
And yeah, and then Binny visited her as a dream. Oh, anyways, so that
And then
was
there's the whole Claire Noodleman. Nina
we
Van
never.
Horn was originally Claire Noodleman.
Yes. So back in Kansas,
Yes, I
Kentucky,
think so. I think it was Kansas.
and so the daughter and then the granddaughter come to visit on two different episodes, I think. And I I love how they're so speaking of like accessory characters.
Hmm.
I want to say in the first season, Maya had a male roommate,
Correct.
and it's never discussed how or why she moved out or why he moved out. I would imagine,
He's just
I've got a job
there.
now. Yeah. There was nothing to do with the plot line.
No, he was supposed to be, and then they realized it wasn't working. It wasn't about Maya, it was about the ensemble.
Yes. I I feel like there could have been more to do there. Um, but I'm not in the writer's room. 97,
Yes.
I was like,
And the first season's only 6 episodes, and the roommate's name was Wally Dick. He was portrayed by Chris Hogan.
I don't know really the body of his work. I don't, I would have to look it up. He doesn't, he seems talented and fine. Like, I don't know what he's been up to since then, but it's got to be heartbreaking to be written off a show and then it becomes a 7 season hit.
Yeah,
Like,
hit.
even though it wasn't, it was. I think it struggled finding its audience, but the cool thing about the ensemble cast is you could pick up midway through a season having never seen the show before
Okay,
and still have some good laughs.
he was on Third Rock from the Sun for 41 episodes. He was on Grounded for Life for 6 episodes. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which is also a show that
That's a good one. 1 season, and
one
it's
season.
over.
He was in Grounded for Life for a few episodes. One episode of The Sopranos. It seems like mostly bit parts.
Okay, character work.
Yeah, exactly. He
Good for
was
you, buddy.
Mad TV, 24 episodes, which is a season on there.
Huh.
The Nanny, 2
And the
episodes.
thing is, I've watched these shows.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't watch Grounded for Life, though. I don't think I watched that one. I worked retail, so I had to work nights a lot.
yeah. So he's been in, like you said, character work.
Good for him, though. That's an impressive,
Resume.
IMDb page or whatever.
Yeah, this is his IMDb page. And
When in doubt, go to the Google machine.
exactly. And but like the 6 episodes of the first season, he was the only character that wasn't really working
Uh-huh.
in terms of the dynamic. There was also because that season, first of all, Wendy Malick's hair in that season, I'm still trying to figure out what they were thinking.
I think they were trying to do something trendy and new because, um, I
It's
think
like a weird pixie cut somewhat. I
but it
don't
was
know how.
wavy and strange.
Yes,
And then they gave her bangs, and sometimes they didn't give her bangs. So I don't know how much of that was attached, placed on her, or her actual hair.
right.
Um, but this was also hot off the heels of everybody having the Rachel.
That is true.
So I think they were trying to make her a cult moment. And they do talk about fame in some aspects, using her as an example of
Mhm.
having been the supermodel and like
Yes.
all of her glamorous photos around her office. Um,
Or actually real
gorge.
photos of Wendy
Yes,
Malick's career as a model.
gorge. And that she becomes a drag icon in the one episode. Um,
Yeah.
uh, that episode had me in stitches.
There's so many good moments in there, and I like News Radio as well as Just Shoot Me, and as I've watched them, I'm like, they're basically the same show.
I feel like many shows pluck
Yes.
the premise of the B line of the B storyline
Yes.
and make that this shows a storyline. So you'll have similar things happening, but us as the audience are like, I like that because it's something I'm already familiar with,
Yes. Mm,
and let's see how these other people deal with the same sort of stuff.
yeah.
Um,
And George Siegel, because it's the first season is George Siegel, who plays Jack Gallo,
Jack
and
Gallo,
Maya coming to see her father. They're estranged. She doesn't respect what he does at the magazine Blush because it's like Cosmo and one of
yes,
those magazines where it's like 10 things to do to impress your boyfriend. And it's
yes,
like,
how to get him in bed and keep him there.
yes, keep it
Um,
spicy.
Right, because her character went to Columbia and is a real journalist with real stuff and super feminist
Yes.
and that sort of thing. But I have to say, as someone who is estranged from her father, watching them as adults
Yes.
try to mend their relationship, and also for her to support her dad being a dad to her best friend's daughter. Um,
Who's her half sister.
that's her half sister. Like there's a scene I think it was the second or third episode where he's like, I don't want to make the same mistakes that I made with you. And
Yes.
she's like, well, then don't
Yes.
pick her up when she's crying, like, or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how the dialogue went in that scene, but pretty much she's like, don't be a rat bastard,
Yes.
you know? There's a scene, I think it's the last episode where it's meant to be the last episode
Yes, it's the
where
second to last episode because
where
NBC wanted to, like, cut it short and burned off the last one in the
it was
summer.
very strange. There was
Yeah,
like Jack Gallo retires,
yeah,
and then here's three more episodes, like nothing ever happened.
yeah,
But I think it's the retirement episode where Wendy Malick's character, Nina Van Horn, says to Maya, we had this wild time, we almost hooked up, but things went awry, couldn't get the pants, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But he was home in time to catch the last of your birthday party. And first of all, the delivery of that line has
yeah,
me floored. You hear the whole crowd crack up laughing. But to hear how Jack was a dad, even from somebody else's perspective,
yes,
is enlightening and a gut punch at the same time. And he's trying to be better. He's trying to do better,
yes, he is.
which is not something that many people, some people are like, that's how I existed and I'm embarrassed. And so let's keep this gulf between us.
Yeah,
Where he's saying, like, let's try to make it better.
yes. And there was also in the first few seasons, they were trying to make it happen where Jack had a new device that he was obsessed with every
The
week,
gadgets,
and
every
then it just disappeared.
no, I feel like he went from gadgets to people back to gadgets. Um, the consistent and constant competition with Donald Trump,
Oh, yeah,
is
that
another
didn't
is
age
another
well.
running gag. Um, I loved that he was like, let me get fascinated by a thing and
Yes.
then drop it.
Maybe it's just a hyperfixation.
Yes, and I think that's also indicative of someone who has adult ADHD, because he does forget things if it weren't for Finch. He does,
True.
have all these issues where he's a good-natured guy, but hapless.
Can't
So
focus. And then there's
can't
the episode where he kinda screwed over his old business partner.
oh my gosh. They- So they went out to Connecticut. They went out to
Yes.
Connecticut and brought him in from his flower business, and the dude didn't even last like a week. It's
No.
too it's too fast paced.
Yes. The guy wasn't
And
he also, like, 80?
yes. Yes. Um, I didn't even that is another part of it, that like he was just living a quiet lifestyle in like
Mhm.
a three traffic light town,
Yes.
just chilling.
Moving to New York.
And it's like woo, woo, woo. It's like Nell. When she anyway, so that's a movie for another conversation. I loved
And
Elliot though. I think everybody
oh,
had a little
yes.
crush on Elliot at some point. So similarly with Jack having all the gadgets, Elliot had a new lady on his arm all the time. Um, except for the cluster of episodes where he and Maya were
Yes.
were dating. And I kind of always thought they would get back together. I kind of always thought they would be like, who are we kidding? But that would have been like a Ross and Rachel sort of
Yeah.
storyline. And I'm glad that they decided to like, all right, we're grown-ups. I'm gonna cheer you on, hopefully that you find happiness,
Yeah, and,
you
like, the
know?
Ross and Rachel storyline in hindsight doesn't really work because those are 2 people who don't belong together.
She puts up with a lot,
Oh, yeah.
a lot. Mm, that could go that's another episode. Have me back on
Yes.
for Friends.
Okay. Hey, I'll get out the book, and I will put you
Smiley
down.
faces on your book.
So, Stacy, Friends.
Girl, I've
Yeah,
watched that
I
whole
I
series.
think
Anyways,
this yeah, this came from Ross. It says, "Take time to make your soul happy." So, here we are.
that's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best. Because all we have is time.
Yes, and I've discovered I don't know if benefits is the right word, but it's just nice to have a really nice journal because I was used to, just spiral notebooks like you would use for
Mhm.
class, and then once I started with the journals, I'm just like, "Oh, yeah. A good journal, a great pen.
You
It's
know
an
what? And the feel of the
experience."
paper, and then, like, I don't want the floopy little swirls around on it or, like, little messages because 'cause you're messing up what I'm trying to say. Get off my page. I just want This was
So
great. This is my brag, this is my drag, like, whatever. Um, I had seen a behind the scenes clip on YouTube some years ago, so I don't know if
Okay,
it's still if you can still find it. Um, but they were talking about how they put the cast together, and
okay.
I thought they built the show around David Spade, but he was the last one to be cast.
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't
that
have
gave me a different perspective because he was a hot name coming straight off of SNL,
yeah.
and they said that they shot a pilot with somebody else, and
Oh,
I've been
wow.
trying to find that.
I have the DVD set, so I wonder if it's on there.
Oh, maybe like a deleted scenes or bonus
'Cause I
material.
can't imagine the show without, oh my god, why was it?
David
Uh,
Spade is, like, so funny with, like,
I
the
don't know, you just said David Spade, and I'm like, Dennis Miller, and I'm like, "No, that's not
no,
it."
Dennis Finch.
I've been just talking about SNL way too much. Yes, so Dennis Finn, David Spade, that was a show like that yeah, the show would not have been what it was without him.
I
But
feel
I
like he
also
was the magic ingredient. Yeah, I'm sorry.
yes, he was, but I don't feel like the show was about him. Though weirdly, Maya is, like, the least interesting character of all of the show.
I feel like she's
Maybe because she's
bookish.
grounded. She's the
I
most
think
grounded.
she's bookish and she's insecure. So,
Yes.
let me rephrase that. Everybody in the show is insecure,
Well, yes.
which is why the show is called Just Shoot, right? And I feel like there's a double entendre with the name of
Yes.
the magazine being called Blush. And
Okay.
how and what you see is at first blush. You're not seeing the internal of of who they how they relate to themselves much more. So, as they're putting the magazine pages together, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole big deal. Like, no, we can't have a jeans ad right next to like the silk dress article. We have to make
Right.
sure that it flows a certain way. And the outward appearance of what a fashion magazine would be. Of course, again,
Yeah.
using The Office as like a multicultural, um, multi-decade sort of thing. Like it's a dying it was the eve of the internet, so it was going to be a dying sort of medium anyway, the periodicals. Um,
Yes.
so
But we
nobody's using
weren't there
paper.
yet.
We weren't there yet, so it was like, "Ooh, how can we keep relevant? How can we stay relevant?" And
Yes.
it's also the eve of before we had content creators and all
That
that
whole
kind of
thing.
stuff. So there is, so it is still relevant in that, how do we put our best face forward, but
Yeah.
we're all just crumbling on the inside and just reaching out for human connection somehow. So it's all on the surface. And that's where I feel like Blush makes the most sense for the name of that magazine, and all of the fashion magazines, let's be honest. It's just the last thing you put on.
I have not thought about it that much, but that would
I'm
make
s
sense.
I'm so deep.
I just love the title of "Just Shoot Me" because that's also clearly a double entendre
Yes,
of just,
like the
you know,
photographs, and also enough. Like,
yeah,
just
enough,
throw
like,
me,
this is their job, and they're all neurotic on some level,
yeah.
and, like, Dennis gets some, like, weird storylines with he marries a model for, like, 6 or 10 episodes, which I've no idea how that even works.
Well, I will say, using the information of, like, how he landed, Adrian, right?
Yes.
Rebecca Romijn. Um,
Yes.
we find out 2 seasons later in the steam room, my man is packing some heat.
Okay. Yeah.
My man is small man of stature, but the
Except in the
boardroom and the
bedroom.
bedroom are 2 different fellas.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, he has that going for him.
Well,
But
he
also,
supposedly laid all these models, so
yes,
he
and
has a
he talks a good
reputation.
game.
He
He's
does.
like, I'm gonna be. I can't do it. It's just he's so quirky and silly, and I love it.
Yeah, it's David Spade just going off.
Amy Sedaris
Yes,
comes
the
in.
episode, The Two Faces of Finch.
So she comes in, and I don't believe her as a security guard, because who is she stopping from doing whatever?
Yeah,
But
I don't know why she has a gun either, like, but it's also none of the if
it's
you think
TV.
too deeply about, some of the things that go on at Blush, you're like, "No, this would never happen."
Yeah, you would totally get arrested for that. But I love that's perfect casting. And I
Yeah,
feel like for me, that was my first exposure to her as an actress. I had not seen her in anything before, and I've been looking for everything that she's done since, and it's fantastic. I love that storyline, but again, you don't expect for
also,
the
they
secret
look
bedroom
so
time to
much
take.
alike, which I'm like, "That is perfect casting," because it's like the haircut's the same, they're the same size.
When she starts with a
Yeah.
I know that she's good at mimicry. She's good at
Yes.
dissecting the subtleties of who the character is and who to be. So for her to
Yeah.
be
Like Strangers and
whoever,
Candy.
uh, the Upright Citizens Brigade, I mean, just come on,
Yeah.
just too much, too much. You're doing too much. You're making us all look terrible. You get the Olympic gold and just let us sit here and watch, okay? So
This is your reminder that Stacy does improv at Comedy Sports.
I do.
What is it,
Um,
1 or 2 Saturdays a month?
it's I'm I'm on when they let me,
Okay.
and I'm still sort of new to it. But really quick. It's every
Yes.
Saturday, 7:30 at the Jersey Shore Art Center, 3rd floor, Herbst Theater. It's $15 for grown-ups, 12 if you are over um young person age, seniors. I think kids I think are 10. I don't remember. But
Okay.
um there's concessions, there's water, there's candy. Come have a good time, and it's cheaper than the movies, and you're out of there by like 9:15, 9:30, and it's good times.
And you're walking
And
distance from Asbury Park.
yeah, yeah, have a good time. Come. And if you're not coming, why? It's you can bring your boss, you can bring your grandkids, you can bring Nana and Pop Pop. There's an elevator. Come, come, come. It's called Jersey Sports with a Z at the end. No, no, sorry, Comedy Sports
Comedy
Jersey.
Sports Jersey Shore.
Please edit this part. Comedy Sports with a Z at the end,
Yes.
jerseyshore.com.
Yes. I know it's surethingtheater.com. Is it Comedy Sports
Surethingtheater.com
has its
as
own
well.
thing?
As well.
Oh,
So
so they
Sure
have
Thing
2
Theater
websites,
is
okay.
also is not just the name of the theater company,
Right.
but they have lessons
Yes,
and
they do.
clinics and workshops, and please come. What are you doing?
Yeah, and shout
What are
out
you
to
doing?
Rhea
Being
for
like, oh, I
bringing
wish I
us
could
all
do
together.
that. Yes, you can. It's hard, but it's fun.
Okay. Let's
Sorry,
go back.
back to Just Shoot Me.
Yes. So, yeah, when I asked you, like, what was your favorite show, you said The Many Faces of Finch,
Yes.
and you fell in love with Amy Sedaris there, which I'm not an Amy Sedaris. I feel like on every episode, I'm like, I'm not really a fan of this, but I'm
That's
not like a
okay.
huge Amy Sedaris fan. Obviously, like, I know who she is. I appreciate her work. It's just not for me. I've tried watching a few episodes of Strangers with Candy, and I'm like, just
Yes.
doesn't work
So I
for
get
me.
it. She also hosts well, I don't know if it's still on.
Isn't it like a cooking or like
Yeah, an
it's like
entertainment.
a
Yeah, she
Martha Stewart
entertaining.
type thing?
Right. It's a parody of that, but also you Totes My Goats get some like entertaining advice. She
Oh,
had
yeah, she has a book about that too.
yeah, it's called I Really Like You, or I Like You.
Okay.
I don't know. I have it. It's around here someplace. And I also have the audiobook. It's hysterical. Um,
Good to
but
know.
that's the thing about watching sitcoms, watching any kind of show actually, is
Yeah,
because you need to have the other people come and interact with the ensemble or the star or whatever in order
yeah.
to have um different facets of that character be exposed to the audience. And um I feel like when her character showed up and like quickly, it's like at the end of Scooby-Doo where they rip the mask off the Phantom and it's like Old Man Witherby or whatever.
Okay.
um it's like suddenly we know who Finch is pretending to be,
Yes.
but he doesn't stop being that person because that ultimately is who that's just who he is. That's
Right,
he
and
found a way to express himself through that personality.
she was perfectly cast in that.
Yeah. um I want to talk a little bit about Elliot because I had a little crush on him.
Okay, so that is Enrico Colantini? Colantoni.
Sure.
Enrico Colantoni.
I I'm half Italian and I have a hard time pronouncing names like that. So,
Yeah. I know he's Canadian, but its name's also Italian. So
hey, you know what? Seeds spread wherever they're going to. So,
right.
I I have to say when he was so again, all the time different
Yeah.
chicks,
Mhm.
and sometimes the chick on the cover of the magazine, the woman,
Woman, yes.
who am I? The woman
Which it was the
on the
'90s. I mean, this is how they talked.
right. Um, the woman on the magazine cover of the like interludes between scenes.
Yeah.
so hot. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is. She's a hottie. But sometimes
There's
that
sometimes they have, like, Tyra Banks or
yes.
models that you actually know or whose careers took off
Yes.
afterwards.
Absolutely. And it's, the hot flavor of that moment, but sometimes that's the chick that he's dating
Yes. Woman
in
he's
that
dating.
episode
Yes.
of dating. Maybe they go to dinner.
He's a gentleman, so
But I feel like his storyline with having sold photographs on the street corner and
yes.
Jack finds him and says, "You're talented, you should come work with us."
Yeah,
Um,
there's that episode where he finds all of these, like, strays who he brings in, and that's how we get the cast that we know.
I feel like that's an allegory for, like, how we assemble our friend family.
Yes.
Um,
And it was a
and
major step up in the world for all of them.
absolutely. Absolutely, because without that ensemble cast, that magazine would be garbage.
Yes.
Um, and and I do feel like with Elliot being the photographer, he's really got the his viewpoint of how people interact and how he explains um he and Finch have like a cute little friendship, a bromance as it were, how
Yes.
they do kind of lean on each other for advice and give each other advice unsolicited or
Yes.
whatever. They play little tiny pranks on each other and they have this running competition.
Right, there was that episode where Finch was hosting, what, a local cable show or his he went back to college,
Yes.
and he had
And
guests, and then he had
then they got pranked. Everybody got hit with confetti or I don't
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, and Jack was in on it, but,
Well, yeah, because
um
he's paying for the college. But
yeah, Elliot
you
wasn't.
got demoralized.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we see some of the softer bits of
Yeah.
how guys have friendships.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not something that is shown in a lot of TV shows. It's a lot
No.
of guys being tough guys and let's go to the shooting range and let's, you know, scam for chicks.
Yes.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm, like, missing something important, but that's okay. Oh, no, I'm not. I found it. I mean, it's unprofessional in the middle of the show, but this
Oh
is
yeah.
what everything's stored on.
You need to hold
So,
that.
exactly. So,
Um, so I did like that. And the multi-generational friendships also. Um,
yeah.
it was also funny to me. Maybe not funny is the word I'm looking for, but it was interesting. I'll say interesting, for want of
Okay.
a better word, how both Elliot and Dennis Finch leaned on Jack as a father figure.
Yes.
When we meet Dennis Finch's family,
Oh, yeah.
and
Donnie. Wait, no, Donnie
that's
is
Elliot's brother.
Elliot's family.
Okay, let's talk about Donnie. David
Okay.
Cross, brilliant,
Yes.
brilliant. You land him on the moon, brilliant. Um,
I don't know if they would
but
have gotten away with Donnie nowadays.
no. I feel like that's like, especially because he's pretending.
Yes.
So at first it's like, oh, okay. Hmm. And then you're like, when he's like, so listen, this is the best scam ever. I fell out of the tree and I hurt my,
But
and
that's
you're like,
so David Cross.
absolutely.
I'm
There
working my
was
way through Mr. Show, so
there was a show called, I want to say it was called um Life Goes On.
Okay.
Um, and um, it was on a
Is it David Cross?
no. Really quick, really quick. I'm so sorry. Um, mm, mm, mm.
Okay, if life goes
I
on.
can't.
Oh, are you talking about the dad?
No, bear with me. Bear with me just a quick second. Bear with me just a quick second.
Okay, because I just looked
Um,
it up.
push push me on pause, I guess, for a quick second. Yeah, it was called Life Goes On.
Yeah.
The show is called Life Goes On, and there's a character on the show named Corky
Okay.
who does have Down syndrome, and airing around the late 90s ish time frame. And I feel like
I'm
let
looking
me
too,
think.
and Chris Burke, who played Corky,
Mhm.
has Down syndrome.
Yes.
So he wasn't acting as though he
I
had something.
apologize for not making the distinction. My point
Right.
is, I think to today's, thank you for correcting me.
No problem. Just want to make sure we're accurate.
You have a lot of fun editing this episode.
Oh, well, I don't really
Mm,
edit it. It's just
I know.
kind of live to tape and.
Your girl Stacy's a weirdo. Um, my point is
You're
that
fine.
if you were having someone on your show who has any sort of developmental or cognitive disability, now
Yes.
we're going to hire an actor who has that
Yeah, or
instead of
everyone's
having
gonna be
someone
up in arms.
pretend to be. So that's where Donnie's like super problematic on several levels.
Right. And I think maybe they would have gotten away with it because he is just pretending and he's supposed to be a horrible person. Like, you're not supposed to sympathize with Donnie.
That's true.
He's just like, "This is the greatest scam." And then he does it again. And then there's the episode where he comes back and is actually trying to have a life.
And then he hurts himself again.
Yeah,
My
hurts.
the I there are times still in my life right now when somebody's having a hard time explaining something that's like they're way off base. They
Mhm.
have no idea what they're talking about. They have no reason to be talking about that. I say in my head, vacuum, vacuum. Because when Jack Gallo was talking about how they had the pneumatic tubes in the building
Yes.
and they would send information from one floor to
Yep.
the other, he's like, I don't know how this works. And David Cross as Donnie is like, vacuum. And
Right.
then he's like, no, it's magic. It's hot air. And they go back and forth until David Cross character, Donnie, loses his temper. And he's like, look,
Yes.
it's vacuum.
Yeah, like,
And thus
he has
expose
done.
himself.
Yeah, and he does that more than once to more than just Maya, and it's like, "No, you're all just that oblivious and playing along." It's like, "Okay,
Awesome.
these are
The
not the
dynamic
brightest people."
with Elliot and his mom's involved. And then there's a Thanksgiving out. Um, I want to say out on the island, or were they in Connecticut? Anyway, so there was Thanksgiving and there was a tofurkey situation, and then Jack and Elliot's mom got together,
Yes.
and that's a whole nother twist that it was never brought up again, but that was a whole nother twist there.
I also realized we're color coordinated today. I mean,
Hmm?
it's just black, but we're both wearing black.
Oh, hey, aren't we so fancy?
Yeah. So,
Happy daylight savings.
yeah, happy daylight savings. When we scheduled this, I did not realize.
It's totally fine. I
No.
hardly sleep anyway. There are a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. The
Okay.
the cool factor that
Yes.
on the cast has a thing that makes them cool, and not in like an
Okay.
overt like Fonzie kind of a way, but that
Okay.
you
I'm
have Maya
curious to
who's like
see
the
where this is going.
here we go. Maya's a book nerd.
Yes.
She plays the guitar and sings that song, um, um, Hot Nights in Paris. And then she's like literally playing the guitar. It's not like
Okay.
she's messing around with it. In the episode where she and Elliot have moved in together, and she's like at the end, she goes, America, I'm coming home. Or
Okay.
maybe it's
Oh,
I'm coming home,
okay.
America.
And she's doing
Hot
it in a living
nights in
room.
Paris. Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
she is cool because she does speak French. She does know how to play the guitar. She did go to Columbia. She's like so she's multidimensional in that
Yeah.
way, and that makes her cool. Is she a fashionista? No. There are
No.
episodes where she's wearing a cute outfit, but it's not cut for her body shape. Like it's wrong.
Yes.
And that's I think done on purpose.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can put the cute clothes on the girl, but it's all about how you wear it. And
It is a fashion
Elliot,
magazine, so it makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Elliot has the photography, of course, but he's also into jazz um
Mhm.
and all that kind of cool stuff. So that's we get to see that sort of dimension of his.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, that's what's really cool is you can see how people evolve into multidimensional characters, and that that's what makes them cool. Like Wendy, of course, with the cute designer clothes and the stories and the whatever,
Yes.
tall and thin and lanky. But she's also like sensitive and doing her best to just own herself in her
Yes.
own way.
And then we
And
find out about her daughter.
yes, and thus the granddaughter.
Yes.
Um, it's it's really fun to like get to see how the writers were like, well, let's expand on this. Let's not talk
Yes.
about that. Like, let's not talk about that anymore. That was a dumb, or that's just over with. We have nowhere to go with that.
Yeah.
I liked at the end the secret passageway behind the bar.
Oh,
The
yes,
secret
where Jack can
passageway.
just leave at any time and no one sees
There's
him.
no way there's no way George Segal's gonna get on his hands and knees, and Jack Gallo is not gonna crawl out. That's not
No. Well, it opens, it's a door.
yeah.
Oh, there's
I'm
the
just saying, like, there's no
yeah.
way that Jack Gallo is going to be like, let me A, wreck my suit,
Yeah.
B, get on my hands and knees and crawl away. But it's just an escape hatch. And I thought that was hysterical how they were all kind of coming through one after the other coming through the portal.
Well,
Um,
I mean, he might, because he is just like, "I don't wanna deal with this," and go hide. But
right. So
that's
there's
because of who he is, not so much, like, the type of person he is, you wouldn't think, but because he is him and he does have those insecurities and doesn't want to talk to certain people.
it does also speak to the internal loneliness. Like he craves
Yes.
the attachment. He does like Victoria Principal was in an episode where they were on a plane together, and she was like stepmother number 3 or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And I the fact that he seeks attention and affection and
Yeah.
can't hold on to it
No, and
is
he's
that
not great at giving it.
he's not great at giving it. But I feel like though he is like if you figure out what his love language is, it's the gift of opportunity and growth. And so he also does like to keep those people around him, but again with that gulf between you emotionally.
Yeah.
um and it does talk to people in leadership who just really are they don't know how to do people. They do the thing,
Yes,
They don't do that. Like, you can be the greatest mechanic ever, but if you can't explain things in a nice way to your customers, you're not gonna have customers.
that is true.
So, I thought that was wise of the writers to bring that in because he's just in competition with, like, I mentioned Donald Trump before, but also, like, Dick Clark. I think he mentioned at one time.
Okay, Dick Clark seems a little odd for him, but okay. Donald Trump made sense at the time. Now it's just sort of like, ooh,
Yes,
yikes.
yes. And, they didn't discuss how because it all takes place in New York City, but they didn't discuss how the towers fell. But they acknowledged the surge of patriotism with the episode where they put the ginormous American flag on
Oh,
the building.
yes. I don't
That
really
had
know how
me
a sitcom would have acknowledged 9/11 in a way that wouldn't have come across as opportunistic.
right. There were several many shows that were based in New York that didn't
Yeah.
bring it
No.
up at all. Um,
No,
Less Than
Friends ignored
Perfect.
it.
Friends kind of. They had us they were mm, you'll see that during the show, for instance, when Joey's got a crush um on Rachel and she's living with him, he's wearing NYFD insignia shirt. So like there's a few things that they mention, not in the dialogue, not in the setting, but there's no longer the shot of the Twin Towers
Right.
in between scenes. Um, but I feel like when he said like everybody's putting up the bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger flags. I want one on the side of the building, and then it's
Oh,
all
yes.
blue. It's blue in his office, and
Yes.
it, that I don't know, girl. That had me rolling every time they went into his office, and it was like a episode of Smurfs. That had me rolling. But it was a way to say like everybody's trying to cope
Yes.
because like where you and I are in New Jersey,
Yes.
we could see this. Like I could just get to the boardwalk and I could see the smoke in Bradley Beach, like all the way down. I'm gonna say down the shore, but we know that's not what we call it. Um,
No.
in
I was in school. Yeah.
Central Jersey, okay, but like for
Yeah.
days we could see the smoke,
Yeah, I
and
don't remember that.
that's
But I'm also closer to I'm inland. I'm not by the water.
that's true. That's true. You're like in the center of Central Jersey. You're like in the heart.
Right, like, I can easily get to the shore.
Yeah, come over.
It's a
Just use
quick
your
drive
printer.
for me. Yeah, but it's not like I'm like, when we get hurricanes, I'm a little protected because I'm not right on the beach.
Yes. Um, so we totally got off track. I forgot what we were talking
9/11, how New York
about.
shows. Yes, and also I think something that played a role is none of these shows were shot in New York City. They were all
No.
shot in LA.
Yes. So they had to figure out a way to be sensitive to it. Um,
Yeah,
I know two of the planes were headed to San Francisco,
yeah.
and I I think one of them was headed to Los Angeles. But I
Oh, yeah, because one of the producers of Frasier was on it.
That was a terrible, terrible, terrible
Yes.
moment, and mm.
Yeah, so going back shoot me
Thank you,
so
let's
that
talk about
we
sitcoms.
yeah. Um, what else is there? Like, there's so much we've already covered with it.
There are funny bits. I'm gonna say every episode had a special guest star.
Yes.
Sherry O'Terry as the assistant, hilarious. I love her. I'm not sure what she's really done since the 90s. Of course, I've seen her on some of the SNL, like, reunion, um, pieces, but, like,
Yeah, what has she
again,
done?
exactly. Like, where'd you go? There was Brooke Shields, there was, Lucy Lawless slapping the hell out of Elliot. I loved it, and her character's name was Stacy. Um,
Yeah.
so many oh, every it seemed like every single episode had had a guest star of one variety or another.
Yeah, she's also been doing character work. There's nothing that she's been in for more than 5 episodes.
Mm.
She's been in a few movies, but these aren't, other than Liar Liar and Austin Powers, and maybe Dumb and Dumberer. There's not
Or
really,
yeah, yes.
I
Well,
mean, Grown Ups too.
you gotta keep working to keep your benefits.
That is
So,
true.
yeah. Oh my goodness. The
But
Just Shoot Me was out at a time when
oh, she's done voice
Superman
work.
that's great. Sherry O'Terry, whoever's not hiring her needs to get on the stick.
Yes.
This episode has been brought to you by Please Hire Sherry
Sherry
O'Terry.
O'Terry's agent.
Um, I liked all the gets. For instance, David Spade's
Yes.
um cousin, sister-in-law, Kate Spade, was on a couple of episodes, or at least one episode where she
Yeah, I
actually had a
think
speaking part.
it's sister-in-law. Oh, yes, you're right.
And during that season, every time Wendy Malick put her handbag on the table at the meeting, it was a Kate
Yes.
Spade bag with a little scarf attached to it. It was just watching how Nina did have some wardrobe that we never saw again, but there were some pieces that we did see recurring. Like, she did
Yes.
circle back through her closet to find something, which I thought was refreshing, because I think the consensus was, at that time, being a young professional myself, you don't wear the same outfit twice. It may be 2 seasons before you see her wear that lime green dress again, but the
She's
girl looks
also
good.
she's also in a position where people just give her stuff.
Yes. Yes, the awards episode with all the swag. Like,
Yes.
I don't think I would be able to give that up. Give me all the stuff. I want the stuff. I want the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we need to get where people are giving us swag.
Stuff
Swag.
we all get.
Yes.
But I also think that the talking about, in a very maybe not so subtle way, about the morality
Mhm.
of taking things that you haven't earned, going up for
Yes.
awards that you haven't really qualified for. Um,
I mean,
and
a
that
lot of the awards are just popularity contests, so
exactly
really it depends on what you call qualifying.
well, that's the whole point of it being a vanity show, about, like, what is the integrity here?
Yes.
Um, at first blush, maybe you should get that award. Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause does Nina actually do her job in the show, or it's just references to things? Because in the show episode with Dennis and Betsy, where we find out that Dennis stole her personality, we also see Nina asking for a raise. Apparently, every year she takes the box, which usually has a photo of Maya in it. So you would think she would learn, but she's always like, "Why are you pulling that back so quickly?"
I I think that what she does as the fashion editor
Mhm.
is important. She does literally have life experience in that.
Sure.
We don't watch her go to shows or sample sales, or we don't watch her do that.
No.
Um, because the show is really not about the fashion industry,
No, it's not. It's
which is a
about The
shame.
Office.
Right.
It's an office sitcom at its heart.
But to see how people behave outside of the office and what they actually do, like if we had Elliot at like Central Park
Yeah.
taking photographs of the models, or something like that, like that would be something to like, okay, so this is how people work when they're not around their cronies.
Right. I feel like that would have been a spin-off had the show been
Mm,
successful.
mm,
Or more successful where NBC would have felt justified because the show was successful enough where NBC kept it for 6 seasons. They just didn't keep it in a time slot where it could have grown. I don't
that's
think
true.
there's anyone who's like, "Just Shoot Me was a horrible show. It should have been canceled immediately." I think it's more of, "Oh, it's a shame that it didn't last or it wasn't given a little love," because there were shows like Friends, Frasier, Seinfeld, Will and Grace that were darlings of the network.
Cheers. Yeah.
I think Cheers may have been either at the no, well, it would have been Frasier, so Cheers would have been before this time
Yes, but
period.
I apologize, meaning that a long running show, not
Okay,
during that
yes.
specific year. I apologize.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, yeah. Which is why we don't see Just Shoot Me up there with all those other shows. And I don't
Will
think
and
it
Grace still
was
holds though. Will and Grace, I think when
it
when
didn't
that
age well, but I don't think it was supposed to.
I feel like it was the front runner of putting the LGBTQ relationship out where it's like they're they're just like us.
Yeah.
Um, and that
Yeah,
there's
Warren
a lot
Littlefield
of
at NBC was wondering why, like, "Why don't we have this?" And then that's where Will and Grace came in.
I think that's great. That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he's like, "I know, like, these people who are together for years, and they found a show, and it's like, okay, let's put it on."
That's great.
Yeah.
I
So
love
it
that show.
is def
I still watch it. I love it. And you gotta change my mind.
I grew up watching it. I've watched some episodes more recently than that. I don't feel like it ages well. It's a very important show, and definitely people should
Yes, for
watch
that
it
time.
and understand what made it important. But in terms of things like they would never get away with some of them today. And there was
Sure.
the Will and Grace revival,
Reboot.
reboot,
Yes.
whatever you wanna call it, that didn't work. I think they made it too overtly political rather than
Yes.
people just
Yes.
living their best lives. It was like, "Oh, we hate Donald Trump," and it's like, "Okay, we get it." Like, these are not people who would see the appeal in Donald Trump. They're New Yorkers, they've known what Donald Trump has done since the '80s. But we do not need to be hit over the head with it
Right.
every single
Because
episode,
Karen was a Trump fan.
which of course she would be.
Of course. That's her buddy. That's her pal.
Right. They could have just made it part of the background rather than make it every
They did.
single
It was like the
storyline.
anti-Trump show, and I feel like it was funny.
That's also what happened with the Murphy Brown revival, reboot, whatever. Like, there was
There's
a
enough
time
clamoring for it.
where they were trying to get shows that would take on Trump, and a lot of those were liberally minded shows from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and it just didn't work because if I'm watching my entertainment, I don't want you to keep going on and on about politics. I'll turn on the news if I want that.
Right. Right. There's gotta be so with Murphy
Also
Brown, there was a lot of clamoring, like, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if we had Murphy Brown on? What would she say about all this?" But also, like you mentioned, like this, I'm tuning into your show for entertainment, and I don't wanna
yeah,
be reminded. And you know what? Everybody has their favorites. And if you're going to turn away
yeah.
people from your audience, then you're not gonna help them to understand your point of view if you're already
No, like
dismissing theirs.
right, like, that's what pundit shows are for, that's not really what sitcoms are meant for, at least how I feel about
No, you're
sitcoms.
I'll agree with you. I have that same viewpoint.
Um,
I think you're right with that because it's meant to be what's funny, what's not.
right,
And
like, if you want, like, the way that those 2 meet, you can watch something like The Daily Show or The Colbert Report. You're not watching whatever sitcom
right,
NBC or
with the
CBS is
canned
airing.
laughter and all of that. I do want to say the great thing about Just Shoot Me and other shows that were on around that same time
Mhm.
is the open dialogue of
Yeah.
different types of relationships. Because we do hear people like okay, using for instance David Finch and Rebecca Romaine's character Adrian, right?
You mean, Dennis Finch, yeah.
What did I just say?
David, you
Why did I
combined
say David
David
Spade?
Spade and Dennis Finch. Yes, you combined. It's
I'm
fine.
so sorry, America.
All 5 of you listening.
um, I feel like because it's visually obvious that they're a
Yes.
mismatch. Personality wise, mismatch. Who he presented himself to be, not who he is.
Right.
So of course, as a matter of course, they're gonna get divorced. But also that everybody talks a little bit about a history of, it was the 60s and, bodies were flying everywhere and we were having a good
Yes.
time. Or there's um there's an episode of Friends even that has Winona Ryder in it where
Okay.
Jennifer Aniston's character, Rachel, is talking about that one time after the luau and we were wearing our coconut bikinis
Oh,
and
yeah,
we kind
aren't
of
they in the
did.
middle of the street and then they kiss?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Winona Ryder's character's like, "You do love me." "No?" "Okay." Um, so it's like, no, listen, I can be a little wild, but I don't really know that, like, for the people who are attracted to who they're attracted to, you doing that one time doesn't make you wild. I'm just living
Right.
my life,
Yeah.
So I can't speak to it because I'm a straight lady.
Yeah.
I'm she her. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm my little brother is gay and his husband and he are so very happy together and they have friends of like all the different walks of life and some are in a polyamorous relationship, some have open
Yeah.
marriages and all of this kind of stuff. And so to hear them growing up, it was just man and woman and that's it.
Right, and
I'm
then
so happy
sometimes
that in the 90s there was discussion about we can love whoever we love. And it
right.
started to
It w
become a little bit normalized.
right, and the AIDS scare and pandemic still is going on and was still there in the background. It wasn't top of mind like it was in the '80s, and because people understood it more. So I think
So
that
as a teenager during that time,
yeah.
I'll say. Sex ed class was wild.
Okay.
And I say that because it was, like, literally like, "Okay, so you need to be careful." It's not just because you might get, warts or crabs or pregnant. It was
Right.
like, "You might get dead."
Right.
Like, you need to be very mindful about, so, as a teenager,
Yes.
becoming sexually aware and sexually active and those sorts of things, Italian girl in New Jersey, hello. Um, the talk about sex was
Mm.
very much about con consensual, and,
Yes.
uh, to make sure that it is wrapped up, no glove, no love.
Right. Yes.
So, watching these shows, I'm thinking, like, that's already in the back of their mind. That's not really talked about.
Yes.
On Friends, when Ross and Rachel are pregnant, when Rachel's pregnant,
Yes.
and the discussion of, like, they're only effective 97% of the time, being like, the Joey's like, "What?" He pulls out a strip of
Yeah.
condoms out of his pocket, like he's ready to go at any time. But
I
he's
mean, it's Joey.
it's Joey, but he's ready to go at any time because he has them with him.
Right.
So he's conscientious in that way. And I don't know of any other sitcom that addressed that specifically, about cover your bases.
Yes. I think there was one in, like, Nina's purse in one episode, so
Yes.
occasionally they pop up, but it's not Joey and his
Sex packets.
ream of
Like a big pack of paper.
he uses them like, like those bind the paper things
Oh, the
for
binder,
a binder,
rings,
the
binder rings.
protectors for when your, like, paper gets ripped. He just has one
Yes,
of
yes, on
those,
the
the
on the
dispenser.
little circle hole things.
Yes.
Oh, if you try to hand that in 4th grade, you're had it handed back to you. Let me tell you that. So, what is your absolute favorite episode, your favorite storyline of Just Shoot Me? What and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm probably Maya, the episode where she's like, "I'm gonna go talk about the sewage in the system." And it's like, you do realize what magazine you work for, right? But, like, she's so convinced, like, this is gonna be great, and then, like, she comes back to the office and, like, they turn off the lights and she's glowing.
So, I love that she's in the tunnel,
Yes.
and
Just waiting.
she's, as she's having her dialogue, you see the blocking where she's, like, moving herself, positioning herself under the pipe that the sewage is gonna come out of.
Yeah.
And as an audience member, you're like, "Oh, no, look out. No." But that's the gag. And the
Yeah.
first time, like, only a little dribble came out, and you're like, "Ah,
Yeah.
how bad could it be?"
Yeah.
The deluge, like, it's so funny. It's so funny. And then the guy,
It's
that
also
she's with,
obviously just water. So,
yeah, it's like dirty brown water, but, like, that episode was that's a good choice.
yeah, I don't
Oh,
know
who we
why
didn't talk about? We didn't talk about Chris from the mailroom.
Oh, Brian Posehn, who everyone
I
finds
loved
creepy.
I loved he would just come in. He was like the Lenny and Squiggy. Like, he would just come in at the
Yes.
the time when the you needed that punchline, you needed that joke.
Yes.
There's a
And
moment where,
it
go ahead.
isn't there, like, one episode where he, like, gets promoted to a ridiculously high level?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember. Man, I just rewatched that stuff a few weeks ago, the whole dang season, the whole series, and I don't remember. Man, My
Yeah.
favorite one-liner is, um, so he comes into the bullpen with his little cart, and he's over
Yes.
by, like, the snack bar lunch area,
Mhm.
and Jack says to him, "Hey, Chris, how are things going down in the mailroom?" He's like, "Fine. How are things in the multimillionaire cushy lifetime?" Like, whatever. The way he delivered the line was like,
Yeah.
or he said, "It's terrible. How are things being a multimillionaire?" And he's like, "Okay, good talk."
Yeah.
Oh, the terrible nightmares that Jack had of him, like, trying to smother him with a pillow or murder him in some way.
Yes. I think that's the episode where he gets promoted because Jack's afraid of him.
Or the episode where Dennis Finch, was filming, his movie with David Hasselhoff in
Oh,
in the
yes.
offices. Oh, there are so many. This show is people, if you ain't
And
been watching it,
then there's the one where they do a porno in Jack's office because Dennis needs some extra money. He's not in it, he just lets them
he's,
shoot
like,
in the
directing it.
office.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who was directing it, but yeah.
Wasn't he, like, this is this was oh, he was just providing the area. He was just
Yes, he
providing
was.
the set. Oh my god. Oh my
Mhm.
god. Hilarious. This Oh,
Yeah.
I need to go rewatch it again. Aw.
Yeah, that's one of the
Man.
shows that, like, I'll put on, like, right before, like, if I'm really tired right before I go to sleep because
Because it's
it's just
comfort.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
comfort. You feel cozy when you're, like, you're surrounded by the folks you kinda know.
Right, and it's one of and I'm wonder like, I kind of wonder why that never became, like, a Friends or, like, George Lopez or, like, one of those shows where it's just had a life in reruns.
Right.
Even
I
though, like,
don't
the George Lopez show was not very successful in its initial run. It only became very popular once it started airing on Nick at Night.
and then later, I think it was, TBS. I think they had, like, 2 episodes in a row, like, all the time.
Probably, and
But,
now Peacock has the exclusive rights to it, which, I mean, not many people have Peacock, so it's either
I
Peacock
gotta
or
say
Paramount Plus, but think it's on Peacock.
I have to say, Allison, based on your in-depth knowledge of the industry, whereas I'm just a pedestrian audience
Yeah.
member, I d I'll say from my standpoint, Paramount and Peacock are like the last 2 places I go to click on to find content.
Right, there was some talk of a while ago maybe merging the 2, which I think while we don't need more consolidation of the industry, I think that would work because
Because a lot
both
of the
of them
NBC shows that are now on Peacock used to be on Hulu.
yes, and both those are the 2 that I think their libraries are a little light. I think the same with Disney Plus, but Disney Plus also has Hulu, and they bundle them. And yeah. We're now in
I
a world
Mhm.
where the streaming landscape is going to have to look like the cable landscape in order for it to survive. Most of them are not profitable. Netflix, I think, just became profitable. Um, I think Max is breaking even. Streaming's not profitable. But
Mm.
that's the world we live in terms of media. And YouTube's the most successful streaming service, and that's not even
Not even a
traditional
real
media.
yeah. I have, um I have so many questions. I have so many
Some of the
questions.
most successful Netflix shows started on YouTube, and Netflix is just repackaging clips as like, here's an hour show so you can like go make dinner while your kids watch TV. And they know like this character. I mean, we all know that's not
Cobra
great
Kai was
parenting.
one of the YouTube Red. shows that went to Netflix.
Yes, which YouTube Red was a horrible name considering RedTube is a porno site. So,
I think that's why they changed it. But YouTube TV, if you're like, "Oh, I'm watching this on YouTube TV," or "I'm watching this on
well,
YouTube," people are like,
YouTube
"Well, what are you talking
TV.
about?"
So
I
YouTube
have that.
Red used to be YouTube Premium. I mean, it's now YouTube Premium, which is different from YouTube TV. YouTube TV is like Hulu Plus Live or like your cable package because I have
Yes,
YouTube TV.
as do I.
Uh,
Yes.
YouTube Premium is the one where you have the I don't watch commercials. I get YouTube Music included. Now they're talking about adding a tier where this tier does not make any sense, where you don't get YouTube Music, and if you're watching YouTube Shorts, you still get to watch commercials.
Look,
And I'm like, but you
when
get
they start
main
having
YouTube.
commercials for broccoli, I'll start watching commercial. There's nothing that you're showing me on a commercial that I'm like, "Ooh, I have to have that."
No.
I don't drink Diet Coke. I don't need the whatever medicine
And if I see another Fort Imprint commercial, I'm gonna scream.
for certain.
Like, I'm not printing out T-shirts for my vendors.
Or my family reunion. Like, I don't need to see them,
No,
much
I mean,
less ask them what their
who
frickin' size is. No.
there are people who do that.
Yeah.
They're not related to me.
No. I Listen, we are so lucky that we live in an area. I mean, New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the union, but we have
Yeah,
more horse farms than Kentucky. So it's like it's cool
I didn't
that we're
know
the
that.
garden state. Yeah, we're not the farm state because New Jersey's so tiny.
Yeah, but we
It's
have
the
a lot of
garden.
fresh produce. Yeah.
Yeah, girl, you want some blueberries or peaches?
Yep.
Come over.
So,
We're so lucky.
yes,
I'm
and
sorry. Way off,
wrap
way off tangent.
yeah, let's wrap up because 'cause we've pretty
You've
much done
exhausted.
just shoot
Yeah.
me in depth. Is there anything you want to say before we leave for the day?
I will say thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
I've
for coming
had
on.
I've had a wonderful time. I'm super
So have
awkward
I. No, you
and
were fine, you were
no,
fine.
please edit out me being an idiot,
How much
particularly
show
about
would there be
life goes
left
on.
then?
You're funny. About the life goes on, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
Because
mean,
I'm so
it's
embarrassed. I'm really embarrassed about that.
no, you're fine. I mean, I can't really edit this, otherwise it becomes clear,
Fine.
but I
And
mean, it happens. We all been there when we say the wrong thing.
I said the
So
wrong thing, everyone.
so thank you for joining us,
Thank you. Thank
for
you for
greetings.
having
Oh, yes.
this has been Greetings from
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
Idiot
close up.
Box.
Oh, I got a whole spiel, like, this
Oh,
is
I wanna hear it.
yeah, this is new. Okay, thank you for joining us, Stacy. This has been Greetings from the Idiot Box. I'm Allison Lips, and until next time, remember, television is a medium, neither rare nor well done. Bye.